I take the same route every single day, in and out of the city. I don't live very far, just 30 or so minutes out in the quiet suburbs. The road I took was always quiet at night, which was a huge relief compared to the traffic there was during the day. I was driving on this road, and everything was going just as it always did. It was a little past 10 p.m. I was listening to my music and happy to be almost home. When I was 10 minutes away and entering the woodsy area just before the start of the suburbs, a light beamed from up the road. Nothing was off at first, but as it got closer, it seemed to be really bright, like almost blinding me. I literally had to stare at the shoulder of the road to make sure I stayed in my lane. But just as I thought they were going to pass me, I suddenly could see a glimpse of their tires right in my lane. They were driving on the wrong side of the road, about to head-on collision with me. My reflexes took over, and I swerved to the right, immediately flying off the road and slamming into the ditch that bordered the woods. It took me a few seconds to gather myself, but I didn't seem to be very injured or anything. I unbuckled my seatbelt and jumped out of the car. It was totaled for sure. The whole front was pretty much ripped off, and it honestly looked like I should have died in there. Then I remembered what happened and immediately got pissed off. I climbed out of the ditch and looked down the road. I expected to see their headlights fading out in the distance, but I was surprised. They had stopped and pulled over not too far down. Before approaching them, I quickly looked at my surroundings and realized how secluded we were. So before confronting them, I ran back down to my car and got my phone, calling the police. I didn't know who was in that car up there, or if they were drunk and angry or something, so I figured I'd play it safe. The operator said they would be here in 5 minutes, so I hung up and started to walk back up the ditch, but was startled by a guy now standing at the top. He didn't ask if I was okay, or say anything at all. "Are you the one that made me crash? You could have killed me," I said, trying to hold back my anger until the cops arrived. He still didn't speak, but the light from his car on the road suddenly started getting brighter and coming toward where he was standing. I was still in the ditch, but could see that it was the same car, and someone else was driving it. They backed up right to the edge of the ditch, then the driver door swung open and another guy got out. The two men started talking in a different language. I think it was Russian or German. I'm not good with languages, but it had that aggressive sound to it. As they talked, the one guy rushed around to the back of the car and threw open the trunk, but instead of grabbing anything, he turned to face me. Both of them immediately came running at me down into the ditch. It didn't take me more than a split second to put the pieces together. I turned around and sprinted into the woods as the men ran around my car and continued chasing me. They were both large and heavier looking men, so after a good minute of sprinting, I'd lost them. Now I was in the middle of the woods with absolutely no light to see where I was going. I didn't even know which direction was which. With no sounds of the men nearby, I aimlessly wandered through the trees. I wasn't trying to get back to the road while the men were still around, but I also didn't want to get completely lost so that the police wouldn't be able to help me. After only a couple minutes of walking though, I could hear the sirens in the distance to my left. I followed the sound, leading me straight to the road, where I could see the cop car at the top of the ditch and two officers inspecting my car. There were no signs of the men anywhere. I explained what happened, and they wrote down a report, but the follow-up investigation was minimal, since only their description was to go off of. Nothing was stolen from my car, though. It's pretty blatant that they were trying to throw me in their trunk. but whether that was planned before or after the crash is unclear. Maybe they made a mistake and were trying to cover it up, or it could have all been just as they intended.